And how's it going today? Today we're going to talk about why I don't listen to media. That includes really the media is really almost on Facebook, social media, with Facebook, YouTube, CNN, Fox, and all that. Why I don't think investors should listen to the news per se. I mean, they should pick some of it. Some of it's good, but a lot of it's really just trash. So essentially, putting it nicely there, nicest way I could do it. I got a lot more harsh words I could use to explain the media. But anyway, I don't like the media as an investor. I mean, it really, I mean, because you have to understand the business of media companies. What is the business of media companies? What is their main job? It's to get people to view it. So essentially, that is their main goal, is to get people to view it because they sell advertisement. Fox News, they want you to watch their channel, their Fox Business channel. It has nothing to do with business. They talk about Trump and when I first watched it and thought it was garbage, they would sit around bash Obama for 20 years and talk about business. Then they talk about business like 1%. You have people like O'Reilly on there a long time ago. I don't think he's on there, but you have someone like that talking about business. I mean, come on. Anyway, I mean, they should have a CEO of a company. Maybe if they have Warren Buffett on there or something like that, might listen to him. I mean, a Charlie Munger, or even a CEO of a company that I'm investing in. If they had interviews, anyway, that's the media. So you have to understand that, how they make their money. And the only person I slightly recommend watching is that has a lot of media exposure. Um, and there's some other ones, but I feel like he's the biggest is maybe Kramer. He's on Mad Money. And the only reason I like Kramer is not for his media things and all this and his recommendation. I don't follow really any of the recommendations. Sometimes we do line up and we do agree with him. But the thing I like with him is he gives interviews of the CEOs. And I think that's really, really good. He always has some kind of insight on especially when they have a good quarter. Sometimes they have a bad quarter. He brings them on the show and asks some questions, let the CEO talk. And I think that's really, really good, especially if you own the company. You got to listen to the CEO. He's in charge. And so any interview you can watch with it, especially if it's a large holding, you got to know the CEO and you got to understand what he's doing. So since that's the only reason I listen to Kramer once in a while, I go scroll through it and he has an interview with, he just did one with Okta. And I own the company and recommended it. So definitely I'm going to watch that. And really, because Kramer really doesn't say anything. He just kind of sits there and the CEO talks and asks a bunch of questions. And he explains what the company does. And it maybe gives you a bigger insight, maybe growth opportunities that he sees as the CEO of the company. Hopefully he sees more growth opportunities than me. He's running it. But anyway, that's the only one I like. But anyway, back to Fox News and CNN and really YouTube. It's gotten really, really kind of bad. YouTube, it used to be really, really good, but a lot of the people that are popular are really terrible investors, and you shouldn't really follow them, honestly. I mean, a lot of them they don't even beat the market. I mean, if you looked at their recommendations and stuff like that, I mean, they don't even beat the market. If you can't even beat the market, then you shouldn't really be telling people how to invest their money. You know what I mean? Like me, I mean, all the recommendations I made this year, I mean, and the other thing is they don't hold themselves accountable. That's why I always hold myself accountable. I show up every single time when a stock crashes, and especially if I recommended it or even talked about it and say I'm going to buy it. Like if Uber went down 20%, I'm definitely going to make a video explaining what happens, and I'm right there. And sometimes you make bad picks, sometimes it's good. It's been a pretty good year. The markets really went straight up almost. So essentially, but I still talk about the good ones, the bad ones, all the ones I recommend in all my videos. They actually combined, they completely crushed the market. But anyway, but a lot of people they don't, and a lot of things is these YouTube. You have to think. A lot of these people that are making these YouTube videos, they don't make money in the stock market. They don't. They say they do, and they have all these big flashy things and Lamborghinis and stuff like that. And it's almost because you have to understand, YouTube is about entertainment. So the YouTube likes people that are entertaining. So essentially, there's some good ones. I'm not saying they're all bad, but a lot of the big ones they go on about how I lost. I made X amount of dollars in the stock market. First, you didn't make that much money. You're saying you did. So essentially, just do your commissions and then the spread and then taxes on top of it. You didn't make as much as you say. I mean, I was watching this guy. He was saying he made $200, and I did the math. If all of that was true, he really didn't make it. And honestly, it's really false to really say how much money these people make and all this. Because I mean, you have to think about. Let's say I made $200 on a trade on an investment. You really didn't make that. You don't bring home that because a lot of these traders they get two. Let's say they make $200. First, they have to pay commissions unless they use Robinhood, which they heavily bash for some reason. And then you have to pay taxes. And majority of the time, it's income taxed because they don't hold it. They just make it and they make a quick video, then they get all the views. So essentially, they get taxed at 30%. You're getting cut and you only make 120, but they never say that. They say they don't show you the after taxes, you know what I mean? Because it's not important, you know what I mean? That's their argument, and they don't. So a lot of these people, they don't, and they never got rich. And it's like the Dave Ramseys of the world. And I don't like Dave Ramsey because I've read his book, and it has some okay advice. It has some really kind of common sense, really actually horrible advice in my opinion. I don't like his opinion of put your money in some mutual fund and let someone else manage your money. I don't like that because I don't like mutual funds. Maybe I can make a video of why I don't like mutual funds, but bottom line is they charge fees and they really don't tell you what the fees are and taxes and all this. So you get 12%, but then it has a 4% fee. So essentially you're down 8%, and you should have bought the index fund. And a lot of these mutual fund managers, they go on volume and not the regular thing. So essentially, who to trust, who not to trust. So essentially, you might as well just go an index fund if you're going to go that route. Which, and I don't like, because, Dave Ramsey, he makes a lot of money and all this, but he never made money. I mean, you can look up the story of him. He went bankrupt as a real estate person. He went bankrupt. And then he tells you, in this book, if he would listen to it, let's say if he would never be Dave Ramsey, never made a book, he would be just the average person. He probably worked at some average job, made average money, and just had an average life. You know what I mean? But he made millions of dollars selling you some book of how he got rich or how to make money. You know what I mean? So it doesn't make sense. It's like me selling you a product. It'd be like, I have $0 in my bank account, but let me tell you how to make money. And then, then I have 1,000 to be like, well, look at my book. I got rich off selling you the information. They never got rich off doing it. So a lot of these YouTube people, because YouTube pays them quite a bit. I mean, a lot of these YouTube stars, they make over $20,000 a month. I mean, hell, that's easy. You know what I mean? When you make $20,000, I mean, how much have they made actually on their investment? So essentially, that's why I look at, a lot of these people, you always have to look at track record. That's why I always open it up, and that's why I always review my stuff too and go back on it. It's called accountability. A lot of these people, they never, hell, they don't even beat the market. You can look them up and look how much they recommended and all this and all that, and they don't even beat the market. I mean, that is, why list a guy for 20 minutes that tells you how to buy a stock, and when you should have just not listed them all, enjoyed your life and bought an index fund, and would have beat him. So essentially, that's why I don't really, especially YouTube has gotten really, really bad, and you always see it, and they always come out because they make money on their views too. So essentially, I can give you the best advice in a video, but it may not give it in a video. But if I drive around Lamborghini, talk about you like these Dan Locks and all them stuff, drive around Boston a Bentley, I'm not saying he's a horrible person and a horrible advice, but you ever done watching them and they don't give you all the information? They give you just slight of it, or they just give you some common sense advice. Driving around in a Bentley, common sense advice got him a Bentley. I mean, come on. Come on. He got rich by selling you his training course. That's how they make a lot of money. And that's straight up how they do it, because especially a lot of these investors. Now, I'm not bashing them. I'm not saying they're horrible advice. Some of it's really, really good advice. So it's always the saying I always live by: watch what you watch. So essentially, you always have to kind of question everything. Always be slightly, kind of skeptical of everything. So essentially, always go, where's the track record? What has he done? Does he hold himself accountable? I'm not going to listen to the person. He never holds himself accountable. You know what I mean? So essentially that's why I don't listen to the media. And I don't think really a lot of good investors don't. I don't think Warren Buffett goes home and watches YouTube videos how to invest, or really never did. He never listened to economists. He could straight up say that, because they're always wrong. And so essentially, A lot of these people, they make their money elsewhere. You always have to look. If you're going to look to an investor, you have to understand, how did he make his money? Did he make money actually in the stock market, like Peter Lynch? Someone like that took, $1 million and made it well over almost $1 billion. So essentially, and that was just through just great investment. I mean, obviously, I'm going to listen to him, Benjamin Graham. I mean, that's what he did for a living. So essentially, and that's how he made money. Then he made a book. A lot of these people, they make a lot of money on YouTube, and then they drive around these fancy cars and all this, and they talk about how you make $200 a day in the stock market, which is not that much anyway. That only calculates maybe $18 an hour. $18 an hour is not going to buy you a Lamborghini. So essentially, it's just kind of crazy how it works, but it gets the views. So essentially, and that's why they do it. They get the views, they make money on YouTube, and hey, it is what it is. But as an investor, as someone that takes it truly seriously, you shouldn't really listen to all these people on YouTube heavily. I know I making a I'm gonna upload this to YouTube, bashing YouTube, and but you gotta like I said, you gotta watch what you watch. So essentially, and I watch him occasionally. Especially, I always watch, and it's always funny to me. Um, I won't listen to some guy talk about the trade disc. I go watch like a video of the uh, the CEO speaking. I mean, I get it straight from the horse's mouth. You know what I mean? Like an interview, like I was saying with Kramer, he gives an interview. You know what I mean? I like interviews. I like CEOs talking about their companies. You know what I mean? Like when Jeff Bezos speaks about his company, obviously I think he would know more than some YouTuber. So essentially, but you have to understand that he's going to be a little more positive, everybody, because it's his own company, and so essentially, always have to be slightly skeptical. You always have to understand where's people's money at, because usually that's where their mouth is. So essentially, they're not going to bash something that they're making money off of. So essentially, you gotta watch out. You know what I mean? You always got to pay attention to that stuff. So that's why you always got to pay attention to the media. It's like this guy, he was telling you to buy a couple weeks ago. Actually, when the market was crumbling apart, this one guy came on the news and telling you to buy gold, and he made a very compelling argument to buy gold and all this. The economy's going to crash. But then you looked at, he had an investment firm that had heavily in gold. So essentially, he had money. His job was to sell you these gold indexes. That's what he was. That's what his firm did. So essentially, if you sit back and think about, like, no wonder this guy's going on about gold and telling you the economy's going to crash and we're going to have skyrocket inflation and you should buy gold. I mean, come on. You know what I mean? Then you have billions of dollars and made it all for gold by telling people to buy gold, but never made money actually buying gold and holding it. Because if you did, gold didn't really go up that much in the last 20 years compared to the S&P. So I mean, so essentially, that's why you gotta watch these people on YouTube. Especially, I mean, they're fancy and all these cars driving around, and you just gotta watch out. And they hold a bunch of money, and it's just kind of crazy how it goes. But it worked. It gets views. So essentially, that's what they are. They're entertainers. If you take it as that, they're entertainers. They honestly, a lot of them are just like pop stars. You know what I mean? You wouldn't take investment advice from a movie star. Or whoever, your Arnold Schwarzenegger gave you investment advice. Unless he's a damn good investor, I probably wouldn't listen to him. I don't care who he is. Just kind of dumb that a lot of people listen to just because they like him and they think they're funny. They must be good investors. You know what I mean? That's just kind of stupid. You always have to look at their track record. But anyway, that's basically all my video today about why I don't watch the news. Leave a comment, question. Especially not really the news per se. It's not like I don't keep up with the weather, but the media outlet on stocks and stuff. So hopefully that you got some takeaways from that. Just basically, like I said, one more time, watch what you watch. So I hope this was helpful. I hope that maybe you could sit back and maybe think about these people that have a lot of money. Did they make it through the stock market? That's the question you got to ask yourself. Did they make it through the stock market, or do they have a course that they're trying to sell you? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Or a lot of them, the ones you kind of want to gravitate to is ones that actually made money, like Kramer. I mean, he's pretty good. He was actually a hedge fund manager. So essentially, then he kind of went into the media and did all that. So essentially, like Peter Lynch, he started as a mutual fund manager and he did very well. Then he kind of got into the media selling books and stuff like that. So essentially, that's what he did. Kind of like Warren Buffett. He does his own business, and he really wasn't. People didn't really go on about him in the 50s and 70s when he was starting out, but then now they listen to him, because he built Berkshire Hathaway and stuff like that. So, and made very good investment moves over the years, like Coca-Cola and Geico and all the other companies he's invested in. So, anyway, that's all for today, and thank you for watching. Bye.